interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Yo, it's Remember the Show. Slick with the flows, where the sparring can go. Who's gonna be on, man, you never will know. Guess because we live from Chicago. Belal Muhammad, that's the king of the tweets. Jason Anik looks like John, up his hands to his feet. Every Thursday we gonna give you a treat. It's Remember the Show. Hit play and repeat. And retweet, and retweet, and retweet, and retweet. It's Remember the Show. Hit play and repeat.
Oh, man, it feels good to be back in our natural time slot. 8:30 Eastern. Remember the Show. Gotta love it. Old school. Remember the Show. You know, speaking of old school, you see that open, bro. It's like Cody was just commenting 4 years ago. He laid that track down. Belal Muhammad was certainly well known, but not fighting for a belt. Nobody knew who I was. Nobody still does. I had long hair. I don't anymore. Anyway, episode 131. Remember the Show. I'm all juiced up because my boy is fighting for the belt in 6 weeks. Belal, remember the name Muhammad, live from Chicago. What's up, buddy? How you doing, man?
What's up, my brother? Man, it feels like forever since we've seen each other. I'm just like watching you play pickleball. I'm like, bro, we gotta get back on. We gotta start talking again.
Yeah, we got to start talking regularly. And, you know, John and Kenny have talked about on the Anik and Florian podcast when they have a dark week, how they absolutely feel like something is missing from their lives. Now, obviously, you're an active fighter right now. So there are certain stretches where maybe we haven't been every single week, but 131 in a few years, pretty regular. We're going to be regular up until Bully says, shut it down. I'm in full shutdown mode. But I tell you what, I've been thinking about arriving to Manchester, and if everyone's being serious, like, get me in the room. I'm going to be so jacked up when I get in that room with you and your brothers. Don't even get me started. Dude, you must be getting fired up.
Bro, literally, I was just like texting my boy Mike, messaged me, and he's like, bro, like, I can't, all I'm thinking about is the fight. I don't know how you sleep. And I just sent him a picture, and I was like at the gym, like lifting weights. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm not. I'm just working. All I'm doing is working. The biggest thing for me now is just like my coach is just trying to slow me down, because I was like talking with Islam and Habib about it too. They're like, right when you get your fight, you want to just go run 10 miles and just keep going. And then like you always think you're underworking. You always just want to keep working. But like you said, we got 6 weeks, and especially more recently now with all these fights falling off and guys pulling out and stuff like that. I'm like, bro, we can't have any chances of anything stupid happening.
Well, and it's funny, you said talk about them wanting to slow you down, right? And you see 303 may need a main event. You're like, hey, let's get this thing going. I'm ready now. But, you know, it's what John says about broadcasting, right? Like any extra time he has to prepare for the broadcast is valuable time. And I'm sure for you, if you're getting better every day, 6 weeks better than 3 weeks, better than 1 week.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm honest, man. I'm serious about it. I'm like, bro, if they need a main event and he's in shape, I'm always in shape and I'm ready to go. And I've been, like I said, I've been training for this fight for over a year. So I'm like, they need a main event. We can do it. You know, he's going to be begging for a rematch afterward and coming up with excuses regardless. So we'll just do that and we'll hop right back in and go to Manchester.
Well, I love your idea. The only problem is you love it, I love it, but no way Leon Edwards loves it, right? It's like, they wouldn't even ask him, right? Whether it's the Manchester component or just with respect, I'm sure he's in great shape and gotten better as well, but he ain't preparing for that date in the way you've been preparing for every day for 14
bro,
months.
They probably can't get a hold of it. It took them to get a new arena at Manchester to find Leon Edwards. So it's like going to take him forever. So that's why I'm telling all these other welterweights in the top 5, it's like, bro, you all should be cheering for me to win this fight, because Leon Edwards is going to drag this division down to the unknown, right? Like, this guy does not want to fight. You want to have a guy up there that wants to fight the next best guy every single time. So, like, if I'm Shavkat, Usman, and them, I'm like, hey, let me catch a flight to Chicago and help be trained for this fight right now.
Right, dude, I'm with you 100%. And so we'll get to Manchester, because I want to talk a little bit more about Manchester. So, how's this camp going? Right, I know there was a little bit of pull we talked about with Habib, and you were in Jersey and everything, but you're back with your guys training regularly. I know Chuck Buffalo, tough loss the other night, but you're still cornering guys back-to-back nights last weekend. Yes.
Yeah, man. It was it was one of those weekends, right? Because I cornered it at LFA on Friday night. We had a good night. 3 of our guys got huge wins, and one of our main guys got a big win. He was fighting undefeated in the co-main event. So, shout out to Tito Loco. He went out there and finished the guy, and, he was expected to lose. Then we drove literally that night to Kentucky for Chuck Buffalo. It was a 4-hour drive. And, I'm thinking it's just going to be me and Coach Mike. Then it ends up being like Juliana's there at Indiana watching a fight. Hey, I'll go with you guys. And Nacho's like, I'll go with you guys too. So it ends up being 5 guys driving in one little car. And I'm like, all right, bro, I'm driving because I'm not going to sit in the back seat squeezed in with everybody. I ended up driving the whole night. We got there like at 2 a.m., woke up at like 8 a.m. for his shakeout. And then me and Nacho ended up going like on a 6-mile jog out there. Going with Nacho is not a jog. It's like a sprint the whole time. He's like backpedaling next to me because I'm like, bro, go ahead. You're good. Go without me. He's like, no, I'll stick with you. And I'm like, bro, he's like embarrassing me because he's like speed walking and I'm like jogging.
Dude, that guy's built. I mean, it's like me walking with my daughters in terms of having a longer stride. He's got a longer stride. That guy was built to run. Like my dad, 6 feet tall, was built to run. You, with respect, you weren't built to run.
No, that is true. Yeah. No? And then I'm sitting there with Chuck and man, it was just a perfect shot right to the liver. And I tell people it's like the same way you have a button on your chin, you have a button on your body. And
right.
Luckily for him, there was no injuries after that. He was able to recover. He's all right. And I'm like, get right back in the mix, get right back into training because you want to get that taste out of your mouth. You don't want to waste that one camp. He had moments and people are like, what did that guy say to you? He was talking trash to you. And literally the guy was like, I'm a fan of yours. I'm a fan of yours. But right. We're going to fight one day. And it's like, we see nothing back to it. It's like, he said fan. So it's like, all right, cool.
Man, it's like, yeah, there are a lot of welterweights and a lot of really good ones out there. A lot of them in the UFC, whatever. My boy's competing for a belt. So camp going well. How's Mike Valley doing? Mike Valley getting excited to see his boy. He always knew you had something special in you. Mike, is it exciting for you to see and enjoy the moment and sort of the anticipation for even your coaches?
Yeah, 100%. Because like it's been a journey for all of us. And I said it, man. I met Mike Valley 8 years ago, and the first day he saw me, he was like, "You could be a champion." And back then I'm like, I think I was coming off of a loss, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't know." And you're back and forth with wins and losses, and it's like, what is this guy talking about? He's trying to hype me up, and I don't need a coach to hype me up. But he's just an honest coach, and he says like, "I'll never lie to you," and like we believed in the process, and now we're here together, and it's gonna be amazing to see because, like I said, he's a quiet coach, and he's a quiet guy that a lot of people don't really know about. But we're a small gym. We're a small, like, little family, and we're about to be world champions.
Dude, let's go. We're going to talk more about that inevitably because this conversation is going to infiltrate Belal's championship fight, as every episode should the rest of the way. But, dude, the welterweight division, as I just said, stacked. The middleweight division, there's so much to talk about with this Chimaev exit. Apparently, Dana said he's violently ill. He will not compete, as you all know, anyone watching this, next weekend in Saudi Arabia. So we could talk about how disappointed we are that we're not getting Khamzat Chimaev, and believe me that I am, but I'm so used to being disappointed and feeling this way about not seeing him fight. So, whatever, anything on Khamzat before we talk about the matchup we do have?
Honestly, it's like heartbreaking, right? Because I was excited for this fight. I was like, man, this is going to be a crazy matchup. And, him against Whitaker, this is his spot to like show you guys. The people that disrespected him after beating Usman are like, he's not a real middleweight. So he goes out there and he beats Whitaker. He's stapled as the top guy. But yeah, I mean, I saw a picture of him. He looked really sick in the hospital, and he's not the type to like lie or anything like that. So, prayers out for him, prayers out for his family. Hopefully he's good, right? Because like he belongs in the octagon. He belongs in there. That's where he's born and should be bred to fight.
Dude, no question about it. And you can be sure he wants to compete. No question. So, all right. So let's talk about the fight that is. So Ikram Alaskarov, Paulo Costa would say, Islam, he would certainly like the opportunity. A lot of casual fans maybe don't know about this guy. So the replacement, no pushover here for Robert Whitaker. I think the line opened. I think I saw Whitaker minus 125, Alaskarov plus one. You're so close on paper. I guess, yeah, so Costa wanted it, but dude, this division, there's so much to talk about at middleweight. Like we have to make sure Brendan Allen's name gets even thrown into this conversation. But so Alaskarov, and Dana said a lot of this today, 15-1 as a pro. His only loss in 16 fights was to Khamzat Chimaev back in 2019. It was a catch weight. He did lose to Chimaev in the first round, but that's his only loss. 7 first-round finishes, 6 by knockout. You probably know all this, Belal, and remember them all, but 5 by submission. He finished 11 of 15 wins. I know I sound like Dana White, but he's won 7 in a row. Like Dana said today, nobody would fight this guy except Robert Whitaker would, And so I guess I have a lot of questions for you and I'm going to get to those, but I'm sure you know Aliskerov. He's Russian. He's in sort of your circle, maybe. But like, dude, it's only his third UFC fight. I know he had one on Contender Series, but his last win was against Warley Alves. But Costa was scratched from that fight. He was supposed to fight him. Nasruddin Imava was supposed to fight him. So now he gets Whitaker, like the third-ranked middleweight. He's not even ranked. Talk to me.
I mean, this is a huge opportunity for him. And like you said, he's in the Khabib camp. He's with those guys. So he's training with top-level guys all the time. And he got talent. Like, even if you watch that Chimaev fight, they were going back and forth. Chimaev couldn't out-muscle him. Chimaev couldn't take him down. He was catching him to it. Like, you just got caught on a button. You got caught on a button. Then he came to the UFC, got 2 big knockouts. You thought they were going to throw him to the top guy right away against Costa. And Costa's like, I'm not going to fight this guy. Like, the risk and reward ratio isn't worth it. But, when opportunity knocks, and especially for a guy like Whitaker, who's in camp training for a tough guy in Chimaev, they offer you this guy, like, there's really nobody else. I don't think there's really nobody else for him to fight, right? Because he already beat Costa. I know Costa was trying to call it out, so you never really take Costa seriously. But Whitaker just beat Costa. I know Brendan's dealing with injuries, so it really doesn't make sense for him to make a quick turnaround and go. You're going to Saudi too, so like that time change, everything makes a huge difference. And you're like, all right, well, that's not really worth it. Then you're looking at who else would, Whitaker fight. There's really nobody else for him to fight on that short notice. So Ikram was supposed to fight this week, right? And his original opponent pulled out, so he's already in shape. But the fact that, he's willing to be like, all right, well, I'm going to go there. I don't care about jet lag or anything. Hop right back in the mix. And for, respect to Whitaker for taking this tough fight against a guy like him. Because
absolutely. Yeah. I'm glad you went there. I was going to go there too. How about Bob Whitaker? Sure. Anywhere, any place, anytime. I guess Islam tweeted that out as well, but just the opportunity when you're unranked to take a number 3, and Vegas always knows something. And the fact that it's basically a pick'em fight, and Cody, you can check me if I'm mistaken. And I don't know if there's been any line movement. I didn't pay much attention to that Hamzat Whitaker line. I believe Hamzat was probably favored. But just really interesting, and you say Brendan's injured, and I didn't know that. Had he not been, it seems as though Allen's looking for a title eliminator, I would think, and deservedly so, if not a title shot.
Yeah, 100%. And that, like, this is where the rough part of the job is, right? Because you have to stay ready at all moments, but then it's also a huge risk to sit there, go to Saudi Arabia, fight the number 1 guy in the world who's in shape and was training for a main event. But now if this Ikram could come and steal all that momentum, if he goes out there, gets a big knockout against Whitaker, he's going to be the only guy they're talking about, right? And then that throws you off because you're like, what the fudge? Imavov just had a big win, and, people don't like the stoppers or whatever, but it was still a big win. And, he's considered a finish against Cannonier. And if you're Brendan, you're like, I got this guy ahead of me. I got this guy ahead of me. Now, how many more fights do I got to win to get this title? And it's like, you got to be ready for these big opportunities, because that's the only way they're going to come in, like divisions like this, where there's so many top guys up there.
And, you really never know how it's going to shake out, whether it's the rematch versus Chris Curtis, or even, if you had told me at some point Gilbert Burns was going to be sort of one of those steps on the ladder for you, I would, you know what I mean? There were times where I didn't think Gilbert was someone you would have fought with, same management, whatever it may have been, but you can't always predict how that road is going to shake out. And so for me, I don't know. I just would like to see Allen. I'm, healthy, obviously, but it's like our guy, Brendan Allen at middleweight. It's like, that would have been a great opportunity at short notice, but yeah, like you said, going to Saudi, this guy Islam's already ready, but hey, great matchup on paper though. Again, I guess Cody said -135 for Whitaker, +114 for Islam coming back. I like it. Ikram, sorry. Calling him Ikram.
Yeah, like, so this is one of those fights. And right, Strickland supposedly sitting there saying, I'm going to sit out and I'm waiting for the next title fight. But like, if Ikram goes out there and he finishes Robert Whitaker, it's like, you give this guy the opportunity. I think he stuffs the line over all those guys, because Robert Whitaker's name's so big and he's stepping up for the UFC. So the UFC's you're doing us a favor. We're going to hook you up next one.
Bingo. And especially to your point, if it's a finish. So have you worked with Ikram at all? Have you crossed paths?
Oh, like, we've been in the room at the same time. So I've seen him like a couple times in Dubai. He was already on the card fighting. So like, when I was down there training with him, guys, he had like his own training sessions. But yeah, they're all nice. He's a beast. Like, just watching him, looking at his fighting, training and everything. Like, you could just tell, and just from his fights, the way he's coming out there and just been dominant in the UFC.
Dude, and talk about the big show, man. It's like, yeah, we're about to talk about 303. Connor may be out. Bobby Knuckles. Yeah, he is. What's up, Big Ron? A couple days ago, celebrated the big 40 blank. He's a young man. But dude, I can't wait for that fight. And it says a lot about the UFC that a guy that's being slotted in there. Yeah, we'll get on that. We'll get on Dricus Duplessis, Belal Muhammad. But it says a lot about the UFC that the guy they're slotting in there is like basically a pick'em fighter, a very slight underdog against Robert Whitaker, who's ranked third. Anyway, unbelievable. All right. Yeah, there you go. Appreciate the love, MMA squad. Let's move on to UFC 303, right? Connor's not fighting Belal, right? Dude, Ariel Helwani is not putting this out. I'm telling you, I don't think he's going to be. I'm not making it I'm just saying. That's Cody Merrow, our producer. If you're wondering in my ear, unless I'm hearing myself, we sound alike tonight. No, I have great respect for Ariel Helwani, and if I'm a gambling man, I don't think he puts that stuff out there without great conviction behind it. Belal Muhammad, do you expect McGregor to fight at 303? I don't know nothing.
No, I don't know anything, but like I doubt it, right? Especially if he's putting it out there, like he considers himself to be one of the top guys, where people come through for information. And if he's saying that he knows that there's a new co-main event and main event, that means I think those other guys probably already told him, right? Whoever's going to be next in there, I think they probably like let him know, and they probably told him like, yeah, please don't say anything until the UFC announces it. I think I saw some stuff out there about Ortega and Diego Lopez.
Yeah.
But I don't think they said that was going to be the main event, maybe the co-main event.
Co-main event.
That'd be a big fight. I'm just trying to wonder and think about what could be the main event. I could see something with maybe who would step up, right? I could see Max Holloway stepping up on short notice for a main event, but who would he fight?
I know you're not going to even like me bringing this name into the conversation. Obviously, Joaquin Buckley inserted his name, and he is a welterweight. If it's not a main event at International Fight Week, that Chandler Buckley fight, I think, is matchup wise. Give me my popcorn. I'm interested.
No, I mean, if Chandler was still in the mix, I think the only way Chandler is going to take this fight is that if he fights Holloway. Like that, if I'm Chandler, I'm either thinking Holloway or McGregor. Or I know Ariel was saying that they're going to push the fight to a later date. So it's like, I mean, if I'm Chandler, I'm like, I already waited 2 years. I might as well, if they're going to push it a couple of months, if it's possible, let's do it. But yeah, I'm just wondering who the heck could be this main event. And I can see Holloway stepping up. I don't really see, there's not really a heavyweight fight that's going to pop up there and take the main event spot. Like you have to have that name value as well.
I hear you. And Cody just put in there, I think some with Oliveira versus Chandler too. Possibly he heard a little rumor about that. For me with some of these matchups, right? So is Oberg Hill, is that?
They said that there's a new Campbell co-main event, but like they haven't announced which one of those guys got hurt or which one of them pulled out. And I'm seeing Jamal is like posting on Instagram like it's normal. It's not like he's posting anything like I'm hurt or something happened.
Yeah. I tell you though, with 299 and 300 being as stacked as they were, 304 looks beautiful on paper, but they are scrambling a little bit. 301, I think, left something to be desired. For me, though, personally, Connor is not that much of a different category to me than Khamzat Chimaev. It feels like a floating luxury in the entertainment world. It doesn't feel like and Khamzat is, I would think, more of an actual contender, so to speak, in a division. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it just feels like a little bit of a luxury with both of them that it doesn't really, the true fan in me that likes the meritocracy of the sport doesn't really bother me. Like, I'm excited to see Connor in a big stage, but, give me some
but it's like, really, like, what is he? 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 out of his last 6 fights. Chandler's 1 in 3 out of his last 4 fights. So it's like, it's not like we're gonna get like a high level. Oh man, this high stakes fight. Obviously, they're both just huge names with huge fan bases, and it'll be a great fight. But it's not like I was more excited for the Whitaker and Khamzat fight than that fight. Like that was a fight that I wanted to watch.
I agree. All right, we'll see how it shakes out. Moving on. Dricus Duplessis. I thought he was in this nice guy club with you and Wonder Boy and Dricus, right? I thought he was one of the nicest guy ever, right? So I guess he doesn't. So you said something, I guess, about Islam possibly going up to middleweight. Dricus didn't like it. Talk to me. What happened?
Literally, they asked me, they're like, yeah, will you fight Islam? And I was like, no, I wouldn't fight Islam, but I think Islam was looking to be a double champion. He could go up and fight Duplessis right now and beat him. And I'm standing by that. I think he could. And like, I was trying to be nice about it, but like, honestly, Duplessis sucks. Like, if I'm being honest about it, like skill for skill, like I would dominate Duplessis, and I don't think he's that good. And I do think Islam would dominate him and out grapple him and take him to the ground. And it's like, we're just talking here. I'm saying I think that Islam could beat you, and he wants to be, oh, you're a loser, and you got no fans. So now you already put your head in the mix with me. So like, I beat Leon. Now that just sets the table for this fight right here. If he gets past Adesanya.
Now we got a little beef, and you were just throwing shine on Islam. That's all you were doing.
Of course. Yeah. I'm like, obviously I'm going to hype up my boy no matter what, regardless. And, I never really met Duplessis like that at all. But, I asked him to come on the show once and he ignored it. So, fight that guy.
So strike two, I guess, for Drickus.
Yeah, that was really strike two.
But I tell you, that division really interests me right now. I mean, how do you see that? What are you looking to see in that division moving forward?
I mean, obviously, I think the next fight is for sure Adesanya and Duplessis, and I do think skill for skill, Adesanya is better than Duplessis, and there's high stakes in that fight, especially with the back and forth with them too. So I think Adesanya wins that fight, and I see him wanting the Strickland rematch, right? Because he wants to get that win back. So I can see him like pushing for that, because Adesanya is one of those guys, he's earned the right to pick who he wants to fight. So if you do that, Adesanya wins, he fights him. Then I can see Brendan Allen, who's been calling out Duplessis the longest. That's that fight to make. Brendan, I think, walks through Duplessis, and then boom, that's his next title fight.
And the reason I brought it up is because I wanted to see where you slotted Brendan in, because I think for him, it's like a tough, it's a tough navigation, right? Like he's better than that number 7 by his name, and whatever happens with Robert Whittaker, like he's certainly in the mix as well, and so, but either way for Brendan, it's got to, with you, it was to the point where it was like, you knew that Gilbert fight wasn't going to happen unless it was guaranteed title shot after that. And I feel like Brendan's in that boat now.
Yeah. The problem with him is just like, there's just so many hot guys right there who haven't fought for the title. And Malov just had a really good performance.
Right.
And now they put him ahead of Brendan. But people are just forgetting that Brendan has the longest win streak in the division. And he has more finishes than all these guys in the division. But people he's not loud enough for them, I guess. So they're not even thinking about him in that sense. But, Marvin's fought for the title multiple times. Whittaker's obviously fought for the title multiple times. Let's get that new fresh blood in there. So he has to just wait for that right fight. I think the right fight for him is if Duplessis loses against Adesanya, that's the fight to make, because there's bad blood there. I know he's calling out for Strickland, but I think if Adesanya wins, Adesanya's going to want that Strickland fight back. He wants to get that taste out of his mouth. So I think that's not going to happen. But like now, if Ikram wins, Ikram's up there. So it's like,
right.
There's a lot to be, figure out in that division.
Well, and that's why for me, for Brendan Allen, it's like whoever it is next, it's that guy and then title shot. However it shakes out. It can't be how many, right? It's like, what's he got to win 10 straight like Belal? Come on.
Yeah, no, exactly. 100%. And it's like, he's been in there with the best guys in the division, and he finishes these guys, right? He fights the guys that nobody wants to fight, and he finishes them.
Yep.
And he's super young. I told him, dude, just be patient. The right fight's going to come at the right time. Just get healthy, right? Get healthy so when they do call, you can make that, you can answer and you can fight.
Yep.
And you don't want to, like, even when he fought the Curtis fight, he took it on short notice, and I was telling him, dude, it's not worth it, right? Why are you going to fight the guy that beat you before? You got this long streak. It's a whole different fighter than the guy you were going to fight. And then fighting a guy that you lost to before, it's hard. So he goes out there, wins a war, and it's still not good enough for people. They're, oh, you should have finished them. And it's like,
right.
What the heck?
Well, and I think for Brendan, it's probably, I understand he's not healthy right now, but I think it's a good thing for him to sort of see this happen and say, well, if I was healthy, like how ready would I be to pounce on this right now? Because that may be what you need to do. And then all of a sudden you beat Robert Whittaker. I mean, Brendan's an interesting matchup for all those guys. He's the unicorn. You know what I mean? So
yeah, literally. And that's a good point you make. Like now it's like, if he wasn't ready anyway, or like if he usually slacks off, now it's going to be like, bro, I got to be ready at all moments. I got to be in fight shape no matter what. So if something like this happens again, I'm going to be the one to answer it.
Moving on to the diamond. So Poirier said he would have retired had he won the belt at UFC 302 and walked off, into the sunset. He said on our show back in the day that the interim belt meant a lot to him. And this was almost 4 years ago. He said this on our show. And I've said this ad nauseum, but it meant more to him than it did to Gaethje. Gaethje, I think, has put it on the ground. And certainly for Dustin, having that interim belt over Max Holloway, that's aged very well. I don't know. For me, it's what do you think? We see him one more time or what?
Man, I hope we see him one more time, right? Because he's still getting better. He looked great out there, right? He had good moments in there. Islam's a dog. Islam is so good everywhere. And Dustin was still never had a moment in that fight where he quit or gave up. And me and Nacho literally texted each other after the finish. And it was like both at the same time, like, bro, we're not the only ones who tapped to that. Because he's like, that's Islam's move. His darts is, it's lights out and it's hard. And he like caught us both literally the week before. And I was like, it was just funny that we both texted each other that. But even like the 5th round, that takedown he got, it's one of those takedowns too where he gets that all the time too. It's a slick one that not a lot of people use, but Islam, he's good everywhere. He knows the plan B or the plan C to whatever your defense is, and he's very good at adjusting to those things. But Islam, I think, showed a lot to people too, because people look at him, they think, oh, this guy's just going to grapple. He showed great boxing with who I think is one of the best boxers in the UFC, and he stood toe to toe with him, and just little moments, right? Like that little elbow that split his head open, and just like the toughness from both these guys. Like there was no quit at all on either one of them, and it was a great fight.
Dude, Islam had so much to lose as such a heavy favorite. I understand he's already been the champion, but man, for him to come back from that type of it, I don't want to say come back, but handle that type of adversity from like that type of a veteran, it really felt like in certain moments, Dustin was going to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, and that was the hard part watching the fight, because I love watching Dustin.
Sure for you.
I'm a huge fan for Dustin, and he's such a great guy. But yeah, I think like Habib said it best. Like when you have a war like that, it levels you up. When you go 5 hard rounds and you have to dig deep in these certain spots, and you're going through the striking phase, the grappling phase, and he took his back super early, and even for Dustin to defend that the rear naked choke super early in the first round, and for Islam, you're like, this is my moment, this is my spot where I'm about to get to finish, and then he gets out, and those are the ones that deflate you. You're like, oh fudge, I took this guy down, or I took this guy down, and he popped right back up. Those are deflating. So, like, for him to go through all that, I think that this next fight, whoever he fights, if it ends up being Arman, it's going to be a whole different Islam.
Dude, I agree. Well, and wherever it goes for Dustin Poirier, there's probably not a man on the planet Earth that I have more respect for. Every time he's on the microphone, every time I see him in person, I just got so much respect for the man, the fighter, that it all feels like gravy. You know what I mean? He loses with such grace. It feels like a win. It's unbelievable, this guy.
Oh, 100%, right? And like, there's great fights out there for him. I know Volkanovski just called him out. That would be a fun matchup.
Yep.
Like, there's fun, even the BMF fight, right? That would be a good fight with him and Holloway again.
Absolutely.
Holloway feels like he filled out at 155. Let's do that, man. Because even that second fight with him too was really good. I mean, but it just, what he said, right? Am I fighting for money, or am I fighting for, you only fight to be the champion?
Right.
And even for myself, like, this is the Super Bowl, right? This isn't a best of 7 series. This is the Super Bowl. This is where you go all out. This is where all the plays I had that ran out, they're all coming. I'm letting it, my freaking
the bully special being released.
Yeah,
yes.
Right. There's not gonna be nothing to hold back. This is where you go all out. And for him, he was in the Super Bowl 3 times, and he won 1, but he lost 2. Right?
Yep.
Or
he
was in the Super Bowl 4 times. So he lost 4 of them, but not a lot of guys make it there. There's not a lot of guys that experienced that or felt that. And for him to keep going back and still making it again, it's a hard road.
And a lot of these careers are unique. Tom Brady's number was retired in New England last night. First Patriot number to be retired in 24 years. And the most viral moment, I wish I hadn't used the word viral, but the takeaway moment was when Randy Moss got on the microphone to say something. The crowd stood up, went nuts for Randy Moss for like 90 seconds, interrupted his whatever he was going to say about Brady. They interrupted him, standing ovation, moved Randy Moss to tears. And I bring it up in the context. The Patriots went 10 years during Brady's career, a 10-year stretch without winning a Super Bowl. They had 3 early and 3 late. Randy Moss never won a Super Bowl, and he was certainly on the best Patriots teams there. What it was the 18-0 and they lost. But I bring it up in the context where Dustin Poirier has had one of the best careers ever, regardless. Do you know what I mean? He's exceeded so many champions' careers,
100%. Yeah. 1,000. That's a great comparison. Yeah.
So anyway, I want to talk to you quickly about this Fight Inc. And I haven't watched a lot of it. This show with Dana, I think it's on Roku exclusively. I don't know how much of it you've seen. But my brother John said something to me before his last episode of the Anik and Florian podcast, because I had, said something to him about Aljo, who I have immense respect for and consider him a friend, and just think this is just kind of a weird sort of circumstance with these sort of things. But with John, it's like he didn't, he's obviously put in a spot where what does he say? How does he sort of address this? But what I want to say to you is, as a fan, it is absolutely riveting to me to be inside that office, even though I probably know some of what goes on in that office. And you know what I mean, given our closeness to the sport. So from a television standpoint, I can't get enough. However, man, it's like, of course, Aljo was telling the truth the whole time and blah, blah. We could go on and on and on, but it's like for Aljo, man. And it's like, man, I don't even know what to say, bro. It's riveting television, but Jesus, talk to me. Like,
bro, that show is crazy, right? It's really good. And I've watched all of them, and I'm like, those are the type of shows that I love. And it gives you a different type of business, right? And I'm like, yes. Man, I want those episodes of right now this week. What the fudge is going on in that?
Right. Exactly. Imagine when they release those. Exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy. But for Aljo to I think he said to relive those moments, right? It's hard because when you do get that opportunity to take a fight, when you're second guessing it and you're thinking about what could go wrong or what can go wrong, and then you have to sit there and think, man, did this guy push me there? And you're thinking they don't want me to win, right? He always has that mindset. But then you rewatch it and you're like, were they just playing me? Were they not playing me? But if it turned out the other way and he did win and he ended up being Sugar Sean, the video would look in a whole different way, right? He would
Great
be
point.
Looking at the piece, and Hunter would be
Great
like,
point.
I told you so, right?
Yeah. So
that's the hard part, because Dana always said, he said, I don't care. This guy told me, I think I want you to win. I want you to lose. But at the end of the day, you're going in the cage. And the win and loss is on you. Dana and them can't say anything. They can pick who they want, or obviously there's somebody that's going to be worth more money to them. But at the end of the day, it's your training, your team, your coaches. And you said yes, we have to fully commit. There can't be any hesitation. When I took the Gilbert Burns fight, it was if we're saying yes, we're going all in. There's not going to be man, we shouldn't have did this, we should have did this, or we shouldn't have said that. It's we have to erase all that down from memory.
Great points all across the board. When I think about Aljo specifically, I guess, and I do consider him a friend, it's I want someone in the room being like, hey, my boy's the champ right here. That's the champ right here. O'Malley ain't the champ. You got the champ right here, but I know it's a business. The business part of it bothers me a little bit. Belal, you locked in the room with Strickland and Duplessis. Who you punching first? MMA squad. Great question.
I'm punching Strickland 90% of the time, no matter what. I can see Duplessis just sitting back and not really doing anything.
Yeah, Duplessis and Belal they're going to be friends. I'm telling you, that if they ever get in the same place, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, this beef ain't going to work. That we're just John says Duplessis is the nicest guy ever. I just can't even. It's hard for me to even buy the beef, But hey, you talk about my boy Belal, we got a different story coming, dude. So yeah, but that fighting, it's just unbelievable. It's just, I can't get enough of it, Yeah,
bro, they need to make that a weekly series. But it also shows you too, how powerful Hunter is, right? How big he is in the organization. People don't really know who he is, but he's one of the top guys, and I think the next Dana White.
Yeah, well, whenever John introduces him, you can be sure he says the powerful Hunter Campbell, and you can be sure he has a lot of power. But I like seeing, back inside where they're working out, John's boss, Craig Borsari, who nobody probably knows, who's a great guy, high-level executive. I just, Dana's impressive, man. I just, say what you want. I know he's got lovers and haters, but just, dude is locked in running the show,
Yeah,
it's impressive.
And it's the way they have to adjust, too, because, how much stress they're dealing with right now. And how many people are the same way. I'm man, everybody's asking me, when's your next fight? When's your next fight? Imagine how many texts they're getting. Yo, is this Conor fight happening? Is it not happening? What's going on, Dana?
Right.
Something.
There's a lot of moving parts. You can be sure I'm hazing John all day, being like, hey, you voice all that Hamzat stuff? What do you got? You got to go voice some stuff? Who's the next guy? What else, because you can be sure there's a lot of work that goes in a little bit ahead of time for everybody.
Is he going to Saudi?
Yes.
Oh,
he was. I want to say Tuesday.
Okay.
but was certainly hoping to watch Hamzat compete, you know?
I was going to text John. I was like, hey, what happened to your favorite fighter?
Yeah, right? Good. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, as you get older, and I'm 45 years old, right? You're 35, 10 years apart, 10 years in a week or so. You know, what I don't like the cliche, whether it's, you know, the days fly, you know, the years fly by, days are long, the years fly by, whatever it is. But like, you can be sure at 45 years old, 6 weeks for me could not feel more right around the corner than it does. Yes, I know you're 10 years younger, but doesn't it feel like tomorrow in certain ways?
No, 100%. Yeah. And it's like thinking back to this, when we first got the news, it's like, dang, that was 3 weeks ago. Now we're going quick. So for myself, it's just being like fully locked in, and you know, you're still having to deal with so many people that are still even messaging me now, bro, where do I get tickets from? And it's like, are you Ticketmaster? That's where you get tickets.
Right.
For anybody who's gonna ask me for tickets, don't ask me. Like, go on Ticketmaster.
Exactly. It's a pretty big building. The Co-op Live, 23,500.
Yeah.
So I assume you saw there was some footage of Aspinall and Leon Edwards in the building. I guess they were filming something. Good. You probably didn't see it, but dude, that I can't overstate enough how cool it is. A brand new building. It's going to be insane. I said the same thing last week, but I'm going to say it every week. Just
yeah,
nuts.
no, it's going to be sick. I was able to fight at the first arena in Abu Dhabi too, when they made it for Habib and Poirier. So it's a good sign.
Yeah, I like that. So I know we might have talked about this off the air. So how, and I don't know what you can and can't say, but how early are you getting in town in terms of the time you're fighting? Aspinall's excited for everybody, you know, being drunk at 5 a.m. But when are you getting there? What's your plan in terms of the time?
You know, I mean, I think I had to like find a sleep coach now. I think
Chef Larios can't double check that.
No, he actually gets out here this week, so that's gonna be cool. I'm like, finally he gets to come out here, so I'm gonna have a couple last hurrahs before he gets here. But no, I think we're talking about just normal fight week stuff, because it's not American time zone, so there's no need to get out there crazy early and acclimate to their time zone. And the UFC did a really good job of adjusting all the other stuff, like the weigh-ins and the media and everything is going to be adjusted to later on at night. So it's like there ain't really no need to be awake in the morning at all.
So will you be weighing in late? I don't even want to ask.
It's going to be like 4 or 5 p.m.
on Thursday or Friday or the night before.
Friday. Yeah, Friday. And then we're going to be fighting Sunday morning. So it ends up being a little like how they did it in Australia, where you end up getting, I think, like 30-something hours of recovery time.
Is that great for everybody? The extra recovery?
Yeah, I think that the extra recovery is going to be great for everybody. I don't think, you know, you've had those times, those fights. Remember when Volkanovski and Islam fought, and they only had a shorter recovery time because they were fighting Australia morning. And then I think the next time they fought in Australia, they did it the day after the Sunday. So it made it a lot better for everybody. And like I said, I'm working with the best in the business with Chef Lario, so he'll have everything ready. He's been in the mix with both those Australia cards, and they figured it out.
Yeah, well, and we've talked about this on the air and off. The one thing I was curious about what you're doing for the time zone. I couldn't be less concerned about the time of the fight, right? Like you and I talk about, like, all right, so you're outside in the middle of the night, and it's Belal Muhammad, Leon Edwards. You get woken out of your beds. Let's go, right? Whatever.
Yeah, 100%. It's like, if I'm going to get in a fight, I'm not going to be, wait, hold on, dude, I don't get enough sleep. I'm not going to, like, the energy for this fight, I'm going to be wide awake no matter what time it is, what it was, what day it is, how many people are in the crowd. I'm just interested to see, like, how many of these guys are going to be drinking at 12 at midnight and then still drinking at 6 a.m. and seeing how the crowd's going to be.
I hear you. I won't be drunk, bully. I'll be nice and sober to witness your greatness. You can be sure. So we got some merch coming down the pike, but you got some merch that is out now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
talk to me about it.
We partnered up with Peace Collective. They're a great company. We got some new gear out, and 50% of the stuff is going to be going to PCRF, to the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund. And you know, they're doing big things. And like I said, people have been seeing the stories that we've been posting, the stuff they've been posting of the kids they brought for medical care in Chicago. So PCRF is a great charity, and I think that Peace Collective does a really good job of designing stuff. The stuff is all sick. There's a huge the shirts, the shorts, everything, hats. So everybody support it, buy something, and it's going to go to a great cause.
So where do they go? Peacecollective.com and
yeah, peacecollective.com, and then you'll see my stuff on there. If you go to my Instagram, you'll find a link right on my story.
Cool. Love it. JohnAnik.com. You can hit up if you want Anik and Florian Podcast merchandise. And we do have some other things down the road coming for Belal. Remember the name Muhammad. You know, I had one guy. I'm so glad I remembered this. So I love negative comments, right? If you make a negative comment about me, that's like my favorite thing. So keep them coming, right? And so one guy was like, remember the name. How many times is he going to say this guy's nickname? He's so corny, just like his brother. Love it, right? Love it. Okay. Bring me the negative comments. The other negative comment I wish I had in front of me. Oh, I do. I have it on my phone. I'm reading you this. This is great. This is great. I love the negative comments. Like they make me cry laughing. Oh, I hope I have it. I'm going to do that thing where you're looking at my phone. I'm not going to look, but some guy basically said, wow, like I was on the podcast with John and some guy was like, wow, like Jason is like John on 1.25 speed and on helium. It was, and just, but I need to find the comment. Maybe Cody will find it, but it was so funny. So keep the negative comments coming. You can be sure Bully loves the negative comment too. You think Drickus Duplessis bothered Belal's day today? Nope. Just gave him a little entertainment on the side of training. You know what I mean? Right?
Literally, yeah. I'm just like laughing at all this stuff, especially with the doubters, right? Because people have been doubting me for the last 3 or 4 years, and all I've been getting is the hate. But all we do is win. We just keep winning. So get your excuses ready because July 27th is going to be a lot of them needed.
And I'll end it on this. When you say July 27th, and I think John said to me the other day, like Belal's fighting next month for the title. It's like next month. You know what I mean? Like forget it. Next month. Yeah, it's June. You're fighting for the title in July. Like Jalal. You like that? Jalal. Let's go. A little Freudian slip there. Anyway, Cody Merrow at the helm. We appreciate you as always. He is Belal. Remember the name Muhammad, the future welterweight champion of the Ultimate Fighting Championship. My name is Jason Anik. We'll see you next Thursday, maybe back in the regular slot at 8:30. We appreciate you being with us. Have a great night. Peace.